Well, we have some breaking news coming in from the Supreme Court, and that is that the top court has slammed Samay Raina for mocking persons with disabilities in his show India's Got Latent. Now, the Supreme Court has drawn a clear line for influencers, stand-up comedians, among others, YouTubers, and has basically said that Samay Raina, along with 4 others, need to tender an unconditional apology in their podcast YouTube channels and not simply in the Supreme Court. It's also, of course, drawn a line as far as sensitivities and free speech is concerned. It said that the comments that were made on his show about people with disability could tomorrow end up extending to senior citizens, women and children as well, and therefore it sets a very worrying precedent. So that is one important development in the Supreme Court. The other, of course, is that the Supreme Court has also sought cooperation from the central government in framing guidelines to regulate vulgar as well as crass content on the social media, and not just the social media but also OTT platforms. The Supreme Court has told the centre that broad-based guidelines are required with the help of domain experts to keep in tune with advancement, and it also needs to be in conformity with constitutional principles. We have to decide where the freedom of expression ends and where duties and reasonable restrictions begin. We need to strike a balance. Those are the words of the Supreme Court. So let me go across to my colleague Harish, who's been reporting on these proceedings from the Supreme Court. Now, Harish, 2 important things. One is, of course, the demand on the part of the court of an unconditional apology on the part of Samay Raina as well as 4 others, not simply in the court but also in their respective platforms. And the other is, of course, seeking cooperation from the centre in the framing of guidelines to basically determine as to what kind of content can in fact be carried on social media as well as OTT platforms without crossing a certain line as far as free speech is concerned.
Yes, that's right, Siddharth. In fact, the Supreme Court clearly drawing a line for stand-up comedians and influencers, saying that those who use social media platform for making money cannot cite the dictum or principle of free speech, because this is commercial speech and not a free speech. So they have to be bear in mind what they are talking about. They have to be aware of the sensitivities. India is a country with diverse communities, religions, and also people including disabled. Supreme Court has taken very strong view of the very insensitive comment and humiliating remarks made by Samay Raina and others in their show India's Got Latent. And as even after they apologize, Supreme Court has said that you should not merely apologize in Supreme Court, but you should apologize on your platform YouTube and during your podcast. Only then only after that we will decide whether to impose heavy cost on you or not. And Supreme Court has said that even we should keep in mind the right to live with dignity which these differently able people possess. The Supreme Court took very serious view of the fact the statements they are made against the disabled, visually impaired, and also people suffering with SMA. Spinal muscular atrophy. And you rightly said, Siddharth, there are also directions to the government saying that government needs to regulate the content.
What the government's response is as well to the demand on the part of the Supreme Court for the framing of guidelines in this matter. Harish, many thanks for the details that you've given us about the developments in this case. We'll take